Hey there, this is Django, and this is another Saber demo and review. These are the Orbital Machining concept Sabers. This is the Delta Voodoo, and this is the Delta Scepter. Both of these Sabers have crystal shards in them, the V2 version. That's why there's two switches, because you do get blaster effects and you can change the sound font. This also can be set up for color changing via rice. Which I will show you shortly. Anyway, the rest of the specs are it has a rice port and the recharge port is in the pommel. Then it's got a TCSS, the tiny speaker about here. Then it has a 18650 lithium ion single cell 3.7 volt battery. And the tactile switch is up here, and I used Cree RGB LEDs for the main LED for a nice bright blade, and here we go. Each Saber is 8 inches long, so they're basically one-handed sabers. I have that ready for you guys so you could see. These two that are on the stand here are my personal ones. And the two in the back there are Darth Maul, the administrator of FX. He asked me to do the install on those, or I was assigned to him, either or. And basically they're identical setups across the board. Okay, so let's turn one of these, or both of these on so you can see the functions. Okay, so this is the Darth Vader version, or his saber, or would have been in the drawings. Okay, and there you can see it's got a nice red blade and the blaster effects. And that is Night Storm's, aka Mace Windu's Treachery. Old Republic sound font, which is Darth Malgus's. And I have anti-power off enabled. And to change the sound fonts, you hold down the auxiliary. And that's a Mad Cow's Vader. And I chose that blue just because in the drawing it looked like the Vader saber was blue. Okay. Now let's just set this over here. Now for the Darth Scepter, aka Luke's. The main power is always towards the emitter. And the blaster effects are here. So you can see they're pretty loud. It's got nice resonance, even with the bunch of wires and connectors that are in the back here. This one just has a delay on it, doesn't have the anti-power off enabled. And now I've changed the font, and this is Mad Cow's Bespin. Okay. And the Luke one on the drawing itself looked like whitish, kind of yellowish to me, so that's what I went with. And that's all the sound fonts you get with it. Since we have this one up here, I'm going to show you rice. Oops. On my laptop. Okay. Be panning back and forth here a little bit, so please be patient. This is the TCSS rice cable. You can get some other kinds, but honestly I recommend using the TCS one, mostly because the drivers are right on the TCS listing page. So when you turn the Saber on, and when you go into rice, auto scan, I have this on port 4. When it says echo in this second bar here, that means it's connected, and you ask it to read the config files, and it pulls in all your details. Like up here it'll tell you the font and all the settings that you have already pre-programmed on your SD card. Now you can change the settings, like here. This is set up with GBR setting. Green is channel 1, blue is channel 2, and red is the channel 3. Okay, so I'm going to adjust the colors now in live so you can see it. This is kind of pseudo color mixing. Doesn't totally do it that well. It's better just to use the sliders to get near what you want. And that's like a pale white. I want more of a yellow. That's pink. That's a nice yellow. It's kind of hard to see in here, but it's nice. And you can also adjust the flash on clash too, and with the mix buttons as well. Okay, so here are your sliders, and here are your flash on clash ones. Anyway, once you're done with all that, you got everything set the way you want, you just hit down here on the bottom left, save on the soundboard. And honestly, I always bring up a text config and just cut and paste that to my documents and save it for later. And that way, if I ever need to adjust anything on the card, like change the sound font, I can go in and match this up with what's in there. But I don't need to do that on here. But you can do that for yourself. Okay, so that's it for the rice demo. Okay, now the fun part of these sabers is, well, it's not exactly fun. SD card access is not very friendly on this Saber build. The sound card is actually right about here, I believe. Yeah, and the SD card is had it down out of the camera. Pan back down. Sorry about that, folks. Anyway, the sound card is right about here, and the SD card is facing this way. So to get to it, you have to basically take the whole Saber apart. Take the pommel off first. Then you take this is the switch plate control box out, and this one you can just pull it down a little bit, and there's your SD card. There you kind of have to pop this up and wiggle it out a little bit. The wiring is going to be tight. It kind of has to be just to fit all of it in, but that's how you get access to the SD card in that one. And then when you go and put it back together, you line up the threading for the control box, and if it turns easily enough, then just go right ahead. You want to get it down pretty far. If you feel any resistance, back it up, but that's about it. And you want to make sure this is a straight line here, and you can always check it by turning it on and turning it off. Okay, let me put the pommel back on. And that's the Delta Scepter SD card access. You want to make sure that this is not cockeyed, because then it'll disrupt your sound. See how it's scratchy? So what I recommend doing is turning it back to true. Basically, there's your control box. You should be going this way, your control box that way. Well, this is a lot easier to do without it being on camera. Okay, so that's pretty close. Let's see how it sounds. Pretty good. Okay. Next is the Delta Voodoo here, SD card access. This one is a little bit more difficult just because of where the control box is, and you also need an Allen key to do it. And first, we take the pommel off. See the wiring. Next, okay, you do not want to lose these switch covers or the plate, so when you have it, put it someplace safe. That way it doesn't get damaged whenever you decide to put it back together. And if you lose it, you're kind of SOL, because I don't believe there's going to be any extras or any made, especially a couple years down the line. Okay, now simply slide this down. You don't have to do this at all. This is just the way I do it, so it's easier. Now you can just pop this out. You want to slide it up, and then slide some wires over gently, and you'll be able to pop the SD card out. I'm not going to do it here on camera, but that's the gist of it. Now, to get everything back together, I just turn the emitter back in. There, it's nice and tight. Give this a couple turns. Basically, you're untwisting the lines so they don't bind up at all. I did it too far. Oh, there we go. Once you have the screw hole lined back up, pop the switch plate back on. Should fit just like that. You can test it. That's the boot sound. Uh-oh. Looks like something got twisted a little bit. There we go. There it goes. Sorry about that, folks. And all is well. Put your pommel back on. Make sure it's square with the okay, and that's it. Alrighty. Well, thanks for looking and sitting through the video while I fumbled through it. Enjoy your sabers. Later.